Rick 85 with the Monsta D feeder, game feeder from Wildgame Innovations. Comes in the standard black, and I showed you the video putting it together. Had it out this year during the January time frame. Worked pretty well down at the farm. Brought it back because I want to do some painting on this. Don't particularly care for the black, but that's just really me. It doesn't matter what color your feeder is to the deer. I mean, I could have my face painted on the side, and if there's corn underneath of it, they're still going to come and eat underneath of it. But I want to do something a little bit different to it, just to make it mine, to make it different from some of the ones that are out there. So we're going to do a little bit of digital camouflage. You could certainly use this technique on really anything that you wanted to paint. If you're painting something large, just scale your digital up, and if you're painting something small, of course you scale it down a little bit. Have some digital images that I cut out of, these are just manila folders that got from the old office a long time ago that were not being used anymore. So I cut out some shapes, and as you can see, some digital shapes. I have basically 4 pages of different shapes that I can use. And here's another one. And we'll go ahead and use those different combinations. You can use it this way, that way. So basically, you're getting a ton of different digital shapes out of just a couple different cutouts. And I used some graph paper, drew up some digital shapes, then cut them out with a razor blade, very easy to do. I have a bucket full of different spray paints here, so I'll get these all shaken up, and we'll go ahead and use a green, gray, a couple shades of brown, a tan, and of course we have the black background for our drum here. And this is the old lid on here, and I put some test sprays on here. We got the gray, the tan. This is almost like a maroon, the green, and again a couple shades of brown on there. Reason why I wanted to show you this also, let me bring it up close a little bit. If you're thinking about this feeder, this is what a squirrel did to this feeder down on the farm. I had it underneath of some pine trees so they could just actually climb up the pine trees, and jumped onto the top, and they chewed this top up pretty good. To the point that it would leak and water would get in on your feed, and that's not very good. So if it happens again, I'm going to scrap this feeder. The only other thing I could do maybe is hook some type of metal trash can lid over the top with some bungees or some rope. But kind of disappointed in this on how they got into it. Probably should have realized squirrels were going to get into the plastic, but didn't think they'd get into it that bad, and you can see they're chewing it all up. So think about that if you're going to get this feeder. If you have a lot of squirrels, if it's going to go underneath the trees, they're going to be able to jump on it. Might not be the best feeder for that. Out in the open, certainly you're in a field with this. Certainly I can't see any problems using it whatsoever. So we're going to go ahead and get started on some of the digital shapes. And we'll get my gloves on, get a shirt on, a longer sleeve shirt on, and we'll go ahead and start to put some shapes on them. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started on this. I did get a couple of private messages about the tree stand that I had painted digital too. That's another reason why I'm doing this. They had asked me how I did that, and just wanted to really do a video on how this is done. Have my shapes all ready to go, and again, depending on which way you hold them, really you have as many shapes as you want with just a few pieces of this manila envelopes. And have my paints, shake them all up, and go ahead and get started. Go ahead and do this rim a little bit first. Alright, now the rim's done. Again, it's a nice warm day today. It's already in the 70s, so this paint's going to dry fast, still in the sun. Trees haven't filled in with leaves yet, so this paint should dry quickly. As you can see, it already is here. And we'll go ahead and get started. on putting some shapes on. And again, as far as your shapes go, there's no real pattern that you can do. If you want to do some type of pattern, you can, but I found just doing random shapes, it eventually takes a pattern of its own. So don't worry about I have to do a certain pattern or try to get some tiger stripe in there or anything like that. Really, as you move along, you're going to develop its own pattern. You want to hold it nice and tight against it. The farther you hold it back, the more of a fuzz edge you're going to have. So I'm going to hold it pretty tight on there so I get a nice tight outline. Maybe I'll use a couple of the bigger shapes first and go from there. And here's our first one. Maybe used a little bit too much. It's running a little bit, but it'll be okay. Usually I'll use one, I'll set this down, let the paper dry, and pick up the other one and go ahead and use that. Again, it's going to dry pretty quick because today out the sun here. Go with a little different color, see if I can fix this one up a little bit. I have to watch my drips here. A little overzealous with the paint. We're going to be putting layer over layer, so a lot of this will be cleaned up as we move along. Go ahead and get some different paints going. And again, there's no real shape on here, but as you continue to put layer on layer, it'll take shape and work good. Again, you just layer over layer. You don't have to leave spaces in between them. If you don't like the way the shape is, where you did have some runs like I did here in the beginning, we'll just go ahead right over that. Pick one I can put right over the top here. And as you can see, you'll get into it. And then if you have a big shape like this, maybe you want to take some of your smaller cutouts and go right over the top with them. And as you can see, start to take shape as far as the digital goes. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave the camera running and put it in fast forward here, and we'll go through painting it up. Well, it's getting there. Have to run out and get some black spray paint. Ran out of green also. The black is going to actually make things crisp. It's going to bring some of these lines in, and you're going to be able to see the digital just a little bit better. So I'm going to run out, get some black, get some more green. Here we are about halfway through, and we're getting there. Not quite done yet though. And back from the store, picked up some black paint, make these areas a little bit darker in there, and some more green. Ran out of the green, so continue on, and hopefully by the time next time you see it, it should be just about done. Well, there it is. It took about a little over an hour, a couple hours or so, because you have to wait for the paint to dry a little bit between spots. Came out pretty good. Not as good as I hoped, but not, it's terrible. It's different from what it was. It certainly makes it unique. It makes it your own. When you do something like this, you know, nobody can take it, and then all of a sudden you see it down the road, and that's my feeder. I know I did that to it. So it makes it a little less easy for somebody to take or think about taking. Of course, they could repaint it if they wanted to just straight black or brown or whatever color. But they'd have to do it. They just think about it for a little bit, and maybe that think about is just all they need to know to not take it from you. So just make it your own, make it a little bit different, make it unique. And there is a digital paint job on the Wildgame Innovations Monsta D auto feeder, and we'll probably have this back out in, not sure if the fall or when I'll put this back out again. May put it out this summer behind the house where it is. I'm not quite sure yet, or it just may sit in the garage till I find a good time for it. So again, there it is. Digital paint job on the feeder. Relatively easy. Just take some cans of spray paint, a little bit of time, and you make it your own. So this is White Rook 85, signing out off the Delmarva Peninsula on a fine sunny spring day.